Commander Cookout Podcast, episode 479. I'm Brando. I'm here with Ryan, and we're going to break down some bracket barriers. Now, hit our theme song! Hey, Ryan. We're back for yet another whirlwind adventure. How you doing?
Oh, man, good. What is going down?
Whole bunch is going down. We have the new hotness in the nation and all of Magic as a whole to talk about today. We got some stories to tell, some people to thank, some fucking notes to talk about. But before we get to any of that, we have to thank our official business daddies, FusionGamingOnline.com. They are your source for all your gaming needs, where you can use special promo code CCO Holiday to save 5% off all your game-changing cards. Your game-changing bracket busters, if you will.
This is the BBB.
The BBB on the BBB on the YTC. This is outrageous. Also, however, we have to thank Pile of Bones Brewing Co. They're the second coolest thing to come out of Regina, as well as the official beer sponsor for CCO Sidewalk Slam. Season 3 coming so soon to YouTube.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited, actually, to talk about brackets.
Weird. You're such a nerd.
Yes. I love talking Magic theory. You know that, like, when we can get granular and break something down and go deeper than just, like, surface level or trivial, I love that.
I like to talk about sharks with bazookas.
Very much so. But we're talking about brackets today.
Instead of sharks with bazookas, we have brackets.
Brackzookas.
I was actually going to say that as well.
There it is. That's why we're friends. Okay, little bit of stuff before we get to it.
Okay.
We got to thank Pile of Bones, like you did.
We did.
Business Daddies Fusion.
We did.
CCO Holiday promo code still in effect.
Right.
We appreciate that. I have my Aetherdrift box that I ordered from them. Used the promo code on sealed products. Save 5%.
I got my Commander deck that I ordered from there. Save 5% with the special promo code. And when I went to pick it up at the weird UPS drop station, it was at one of those like local small grocery stores, like in the middle of Sutherland, which is like a town within Saskatoon, right?
Yeah.
And the guy at the till, when I told him what I wanted, he went like this.
Oh no!
And then he was like, "If you're watching on YouTube, which you should be, you'd see me that I wiped just a huge gob of boog off of my face." And he was like smushing it around on his hand with his fingers while he was talking to me. And then he tried on 3 separate occasions to like touch my phone and my driver's license, and then kind of looked like he had his feelings hurt when I told him I wouldn't let him touch my stuff.
Oh,
weird. But I did get all my stuff. Arrived very quickly, very safely, packed professionally, with a nice little smiley face written or drawn on my receipt,
nice.
which was cool.
That's nice.
So thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's not very good. Final big thank you goes out to Dragoon.
Oh, yeah.
In the booth today, producing for us from the Dufferin Avenue Media Network Studio.
Yes, we appreciate them having us in here, giving us this small heater that will blow heat onto me to keep me warm, and giving us a cool place to record the show.
I appreciate how the camera's aimed so you can't see how I'm getting blown, which is not at all, which is completely normal. That is my life.
Excellent.
Never ever getting blown by anything. Ever.
Weird.
Except for these brackets.
Oh, yeah, your mind is blown by bracketology.
Yeah, we're staying on the bracket theme, but CCO Sidewalk Slam, February 28th, coming up.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the launch date. T-Coat said he'd have it to me before then, so I'm holding him to it, and look at how tightly in the camera zoomed on me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's when that's coming. Can't wait. And we've got another little crossover thing here coming up next week, or this week that you're listening to this show. Our friends Tanner and other Brando.
What?
Other better looking, also long-haired Brando.
What?
Weirdest thing ever that you're both named that. They sent us a Pauper EDH gameplay show that we're going to feature on our Community Spotlight channel on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah, super fun.
I thought we were going to spank them without pants.
Well, if we ever played Magic against them, we could. Rogue's Passage, that's where they're from. They're based out of Calgary. Okay. They're going to be at Face-to-Face Edmonton when I'm there. Have you found a place to stay?
Yes, I have 2 offers of places to stay. I'm just seeing which one will be like the easiest for everybody involved. Mm-hmm. So I will probably also be there. The odds of me being there are very high unless some kind of life circumstance keeps me from it.
Yep.
So as of today, as we record this on Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day, everybody, I should also be there.
Very cool. Okay, so that is March 8th and 9th. We're going to be there Saturday, Sunday. Probably I'll be working on Saturday, but you'll be there jamming games, doing CCO stuff. And on Sunday morning, like the whole morning, I'll have some merch there, some hats and toques and not sleeves, but we're going to talk about that.
Right.
Just CCO stuff. So come and find us. It's going to be a grand old time.
I love grand old times.
And the Rogues Passage guys are going to be there. That's what got me on that.
I like those guys. They're fun.
Yeah, super cool. So check out the video next week. And I mentioned sleeves, CCO sleeves. I've got one of the designs back from the artist, i.e. me, that I have to show you and get your approval kind of on the background of it.
Is there a dinosaur?
There is no dinosaur.
Surfboard.
Also no.
The moon?
Nope.
What are we doing here?
I have no idea. Lots of times I kind of just throw stuff at the wall and hope that it sticks.
Is there a frog?
No frog.
A gun?
No gun.
A shark?
Also no.
A knife?
No.
Hey, listen, man. Listen. I realized I didn't guess everything, but I guess everything that I like. Man.
Yep.
Is there a chicken?
No chickens.
Cheeseburger.
I'll show you after. We've got brackets to talk about.
All right.
Okay, so we've got an article from Gavin Dragon. You really don't have to switch cameras that much. You can keep it on 2 all the day.
He's working hard, and we appreciate it.
He is working hard. He's working hard, and we appreciate it. So here's the thing. We've got the article from Gavin.
We're not going to read it, though.
And I'm not going to read it, but I am going to read some of the things that I really like about it. Okay. It's a new tool for us to use.
Yeah.
It's a tool for us to use.
It isn't a rules framework yet, and it's still a work in progress from everything that I've heard. So if you hate it, now is the time to respectfully tell people involved that you hate it. I have some suggestions of things that I would like to see.
Yes.
I'm sure you do as well. You can leave them in the comments or send them to people on the board
or
on social media. But this is the thing. This is the time.
Yes.
It's a
or
new
send them to us so we can keep making content about it. I talk so much about brackets and individual cards and kind of you call it a framework, and it's not a rules system yet, but it is. It is if we choose to use it like that, and it's not if we choose to not use it like that. And that's what I love about it, because you and me and the CCO Dude Bros and so many people that I've ever played games with in CCO Nation, we don't need this.
No.
But at the same time, I want to have it in mind when building and choosing individual cards and kind of theorizing how I build Magic decks and think about Magic, because I don't just play with you. I play with everybody. I'll play with anybody. And this gives me the verbiage to at least start a conversation in a way that other people are also going to know the language of.
Sure.
Yeah. And for that reason, I think it's good.
Every deck is a 3.
Every deck is a 3. Oh, frick. Good thing I ran out of stock on the every deck is a 7 sticker at the CCO store.
Yeah, that would have a whole new different context now. Hey, what would a 7 be? A 7 would be power 9 inclusive, and you can have more than one of any kind of card in your deck.
Yeah, a 7 now is like 30 Black Lotuses, 30 channels, and 30 fireballs. A level 3 is a bazooka. It's a rail gun.
Like, it's an actual rail gun.
It's an actual gun. Oh, man. Yes.
It's just 2 pairs of nunchucks.
Yes. I love that. Now, here's the quotes that I actively have highlighted.
Okay.
Here's the quote.
Okay.
But above all, the Commander Bracket system is meant to provide players with greater terminology. Oh, hold on. My slide got my thing got terminology. Greater terminology.
Sure.
Now,
words matter.
Words matter. And now all we're doing is speaking the same words. We're not saying, well, my deck's a 7 in the arbitrary bullshit 1 to 10 power scale the Command Zone made up 15 years ago. We're not saying that anymore.
Now we're going to say, my deck's a 3 based on the arbitrary bullshit numbering system that this group of people came up with 6 months ago.
Now, but here's the thing about that. This is the official stuff. Like, this is it. It's like saying, what are the rules of Commander as per Wizards of the Coast?
And the word,
this is part of the rules.
And the word lasagna is not being used to define any of the numbers. There's a fairly clear, with one exception, there's a very clear distinction between each. thing, but there actually is a much clearer, that I would argue is the best distinction between tiers, between 4 and 5, that we'll get to later on in the episode.
Yes, very much so. And no shade at the command zone. No shade at the command zone.
Yeah, well, I mean some.
Some shade. Yeah, like 5 ounces.
You don't want them to get a sunburn. Everybody needs shade.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, here's the other quote. And this is at the end of a sentence. I'm not taking it out of context because it's the end of the sentence that's important. If somebody builds their deck to do that intentionally, it's talking about chaining extra turns together in this case, that's a no-no. There's actually a system, a rule set, a philosophy behind what they don't want you to do at certain portions, within certain portions of the game.
Yeah.
I frickin' love that. Because, and it's happened the last time I played my Marvo deck. You didn't know it was an extra turns deck. Nope. I said it was a Peer into the Abyss deck.
Yeah.
Well, turns out that Peer into the Abyss, when you have like 4 extra turn cards in your hand that you could play for free with Dream Halls,
pretty good.
Makes people feel bad. Yep. I know this, and I'm playing with people that feel bad still because they're my friends and they know that I'm going to do this bullshit and then probably take the deck apart.
Yeah.
But if I didn't know that chaining extra turns together is a thing in the game that makes people sour, and I just go out into the wild and do it, then I'm the bad guy. Yeah. Or I think they're the bad guy for telling me that I built a deck that isn't fun. Now I know, oh, that's a no-no. I shouldn't do that. That's against the rules of the fucking game.
Oh, shit.
I didn't know that there was rules that govern that. Now the bracket system gives me a rules framework that governs that.
And we're going to get this out of the way right now because we talked about it, not in depth, but a fair bit. Last night we were all out for beers together.
Yeah.
Yes, you can build a 5 that's a 1.
Yes.
You can absolutely do that. But that's the same as saying I built my deck in the car on the way over here.
Yes.
Right? And we're not catering to that because that's not what this is for. Those people, there's no system or set of guidelines that will prevent that.
Yes.
There's always going to be pub stompers and people that need to win for no prizes for nothing. That's going to exist.
Yes.
Right? You're always going to have the guy that's like, yeah, I'm just going to pub stomp these noobs real quick before I go play in the main event. That's always going to be there, and it sucks. But that's just kind of part of the ecosystem of the game, and we're not going to address that much more than probably that.
And you could have a very concrete, hard and fast, black and white rules system, and people would still do that.
Yep.
You could have a rule system like this where they say, oh, up or down a level is probably fine as long as everybody knows, and that's the expectation. You're still going to have that. You're still going to have people that know that this framework exists and ironically try and circumvent the rules by saying my level 4 is actually a 1 because I don't play any game changers.
Yep. And I don't blow up land and I don't take extra turns.
Yeah.
Technically, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. And you're still going to have people that don't know that this exists. And when you say, hey, man, that's actually a 4 bracket, a bracket 4 deck, and they're going to say, what? Huh?
What brackets are you talking about?
And then that introduces the line of thought, well, I'm worried about new players. This makes it really complex. Ha, 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 ha. As if Magic's not complex.
Yeah, like, do you not know what game you're playing?
Yeah, it's like learning to play Magic's like if you frickin' tell a toddler to try and fly a rocket ship and land it on a dime on Mars. Like, that's how difficult this game is.
Yeah, it's very tough. Nobody who shows up at a Magic Fest to play with strangers is going to be so unfamiliar with the rule set of the game that they can't grasp this system.
Yes. So don't worry about it being complex and having a second set of like cards that are pseudo banned. And why aren't they pointed like Canadian Highlander? Yeah. Well, they are. Each card's worth 1 point, and you can have a maximum of 3 points in your deck before it's a level 4. Like, they're pointed. It's the same thing. Will they always be pointed? No. Will there be sometimes be more pointed cards? Yes. Yeah. Sometimes there'll be less? Yes. So, anyways, the final thing about Gavin's article before we talk about like how it affects us and the nation and our decks and stuff is I said, finally, somebody is taking an actual stand to weed out all of the gray areas and all of the rule zeros and all of the bullshit and the liars and the pub stompers and the whomevers that make the game challenging. And sure, this introduces some complexity
Yeah.
because it's another list and another rule set.
Moderate complexity.
Yeah, but when it's incorporated into how to play Commander in an official capacity, as it has been,
Mhm.
it makes it less complex because it gives you a rules kind of checklist to say, am I following this rule, this rule, this rule? Do my decks comply? Yes. Do your decks follow the same rule set? Yes. Okay, let's try and play them together and probably have greater success, similar outcomes, and more fun than if we just blind picked two random guys and said, hey, play fucking Magic.
Which is what we do when we're setting up pods at Magic Fest.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a Commander deck? Yeah, come here. Come here.
Hey,
Get in the game with these guys. And
Hey, you got a backpack and a beard. Come sit down. Yeah. So how does it affect us? Like, what do we stand to gain or lose?
Us? Me? Well, I can't speak for you, but I can speak for myself. Nothing. I gain and lose nothing by this framework coming into play. I went over all of my decks, and the results that I got with, like, I think 3 exceptions are exactly what I was expecting. Like, I got precisely the results I thought. All of my decks are 3s for the most part.
I have 2 exceptions to your 3, but you've got like 7,000 decks, and I've got 19. I didn't even know I had that many decks.
I'm 28. That's not very. That's not so much more.
That's freaking lots.
And it's too many decks.
I have two exceptions to what I think or what I thought, and then I've got 2. We talked a little bit about on the pre-show yesterday. 2 that are probably 2s, but have a game changer. Yeah. And that's when I would explain via Rule 0 conversation that this is a modified precon, but only uses cards from the Lord of the Rings set. It's got a 1 ring in it, right?
Same card and a preview for CCO Sidewalk Slam Season 3, Episode 1 coming to YouTube on February 28th. That deck, I actually play its 1 game changer card in the deck on the show, maybe more than once. And
because there was another game changer that got cast multiple times.
Exactly.
And the guy didn't win. What a loser.
Oh, man.
Ooh, I forgot that till just now.
But if it was without that deck would be an easy 1.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just everything has haste.
The deck. Yeah.
That's what it is. And that is the literal definition of a 1.
Yeah.
It's a fucking 1, but it has a game changer card in it. So technically it's a 3.
It's a 3.
But I'm not counting it as a 3.
Now, going back to how does it affect us? What do we stand to gain or lose?
It might be easier when we go in public and we're like, okay.
Yes.
My deck's a 3.
Personally, us and our closest friends of local players whose house we go to.
Yeah.
And here's the example. Whose kid I've known since she was in a car seat.
Yeah.
Right? I know that guy. Right? Whose weddings, like we're in each other's weddings and shit. Like we know each other.
Yeah.
We know each other's decks. We know each other's build philosophies. I know that you're not an infinite combo guy.
Nope.
I know you don't like Aetherflux Reservoir. I know Jesse doesn't do infinite combos, but he runs 2 Wrath of Gods in every deck.
Yep. Literal Wrath of God.
Yes. Right? I know tendencies of my friends. I know what I'm getting. I know what the expectation is.
Yeah.
So this tool is not a tool that we need for that.
No.
Is it a conversation starter when new players come into our LGS? Probably it is. Is it something that maybe you could print out the list of game changers and the brackets to show people who've never heard of it before? At least in the next month or so? To say, hey, check this out. Where do your decks fall in? What do you think about deck building? And maybe we can kind of find a common ground and completely shortcut the whole bracket conversation once we get to know each other.
Once you figure shit out.
Yeah. And probably everybody at our local game store you could do that with.
Yep.
And probably, I don't go quite as often as you, probably 90% of the people there I could do that with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as how does it affect CCO Nation? Exactly the same way.
Yep.
Because you're already watching, you're already entrenched in our culture and in our attitude and in our sense of humor. And obviously the way that we build decks, if you watch our show over and over again,
you're going to know all those things too.
You're going to know all that stuff because you know no dicks and no assholes.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of the system.
Yeah.
If you've already got that down, then it's like you've shortcutted the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need this, but maybe you're going to run into somebody that you don't know, and maybe this will be helpful.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So the couple issues that I do take from it, and this is maybe a criticism that we don't need an answer for.
Okay.
In Gavin's article and in the breakdown of like when you can start to cast your combos and stuff, right? What is early and what is late? Like, what does that mean?
6.
Turn 6?
I think
6 mana, which is not quite the same thing.
And that's the big question is, I'm going to say 6 because I think that most big time combos you can probably do with 6. If that's what you're doing, these 2-card ones and stuff, you can probably do 6.
Oh, yeah.
Mana.
Turns?
Well,
or mana.
Mana is what it takes to do it. And if you apply mana to turn, then turn 6 would be the one. But sometimes you do. Land, Sol Ring, Signet, go.
Yeah.
Land, die,
or Land,
right?
Sol Ring, Game Changer like Grim Monolith. Now I've got 6 mana on turn 2, right? And that's why that Game Changer is there.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, hey, I've got an infinite combo and this Game Changer in my deck. The infinite combo costs 6 mana, but I am running a Grim Monolith because I have a foil one because I'm a baller.
Yeah. And
right?
And to arbitrarily not do that because I can't do this until turn 6.
No, and that's why this is a great, again, framework or tool to start a conversation. By the way, I don't have a foil Grim Monolith. I don't own one of those. But if I did, I'd sure as fuck be playing.
Oh yeah, it would be in a deck for sure.
And I'd sure as fuck be telling people that I own it.
Yeah.
Right? And then it uses the bracket framework as a cool way to tell somebody about like your pimpest deck.
Yeah.
What deck would you put a foil Grim Monolith in?
Ooh. Coma.
Do you play Grim Monolith currently in that deck?
No. But if I had one, I would.
But you would. Yeah.
I only have gold bordered.
Oh.
I know. That's why I don't play them. I don't play them.
Okay, next thing. Is something that I always question, and this goes back to like reading legal documents and like collective agreements and stuff.
Oh my god.
I'm a boring old job.
Oh my god.
Redundancies. Why are we saying the same thing 2 times? As in, why are we saying tutors should be sparse in categories 1 and 2 and 3, and also putting tutors in the game changers list, when we should just say tutors should be sparse, and that's it. Now, I know Gavin's reasoning in the article. I understand, like, I see the reasoning. I don't think that that's good enough.
I don't either.
I think that if tutors should be sparse, you should only have, like, what does sparse mean? Let's define that term. Does sparse mean 3 in your whole deck?
Yeah.
Does that mean 2 in your whole deck? Does that mean they should be sparse in terms of narrow tutors that can only find enchantments or artifacts or creatures?
Well, obviously not, because the ones that can only find artifacts and enchantments or instants and sorceries are on the list of game-changing cards, as opposed to the ones that can find anything you want, like Gamble, or things that'll probably make you find even more things, like, I don't know, is it not Hermit Druid? Heritage Druid? What's the Druid I'm thinking of?
Hermit Druid.
Green 1 tap discard. It's Survival of the Fittest on legs.
Yeah. Frick, what is that card?
That one. Fauna Shaman.
Fauna Shaman, yeah. I was going to say Survival of the Shaman.
I mean, yeah.
Yes.
But you can play that. There's lots of other cards that sort of do those things. And the fact that no creature tutors made that list when some of the other ones did is kind of telling.
Well, Survival of the Fittest did. I think, though, that's because it's repeatable.
Yep.
Right?
Repeatable multiple times.
And here's the thing, though. The other tutors that made the list aren't repeatable, but they still should be sparse.
And they tutor to the top of your deck. Put the card in
I
your
can
hand.
I can have a Grim tutor in my deck, but I can't have a Demonic tutor. It's 1 mana difference.
Yeah.
Right? I can have a Grim tutor and a Cruel tutor, but I can't have a Demonic tutor in my deck.
Right.
I can have a Grim tutor and a Cruel tutor in my bracket 2. And that's sparse, but if I put 1 Demonic tutor in it,
it's 3.
Then it's a 3. Or if I cut Grim and Cruel and I put Demonic in just straight up, then it's a 3. That's what I don't like. And I know that there's some gray area in between, like let's say bracket 2 and bracket 3.
Yeah.
But when we don't have a definition for sparse, that does leave the door open for me to say, well, my tutors are sparse. I only have Grim tutor and Cruel Tutor.
Sure.
But my deck is a 3 because I also play Demonic Tutor. But then I could say, well, really though, that's only 3 tutors total, so I'm going to play this in a 2 bracket.
Yeah, that's
because
still
it's my
sparse.
only game changer, and 1 extra card doesn't make my deck not have sparse tutors anymore.
And my thing with all the tutors is redundancy, of course, is why you play them, but like, what are you redundantly looking for? What if what you're tutoring for isn't like something game busting or insane? You're finding what's the thing? There's a red enchantment where it kills the thing that it's on, and whoever like cycles through their library until they get to another thing that shows a type with it and puts that into play with that attached to it. Like whatever that enchantment is, maybe it'll be on the screen if Joe can think of what it is, and you're watching on YouTube and you can see it. Like, what if that's what you're running redundancy for? Because that's kind of the thing that your deck does. You know what I mean? Like, is your deck still a 3, or is it this janky thing that only plays 4 creatures and this 1 card and then ways to find it?
Yeah, and exactly. I think of 5-color mono white Angel Aaron's deck.
That's the exact deck I'm talking about.
Where he's got like 1 creature in the whole deck. Is Polymorph become a tutor? Does Proteus Staff become a tutor in your deck that runs 1 creature?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is yes. And then it goes back to letter of the law, exactly how it's written versus intent.
Yeah.
And I like that there's room for interpretation on that front, because for people that are entrenched Magic players who are familiar with the power level of cards, the culture of Commander, and this bracket system, they can say, my Sauron deck is a Lord of the Rings theme deck that's built from a precon. It's a modified precon, but it has a 1 ring in it. I'm still going to play this in the 2 bracket because it's only as powerful as a precon.
Yeah.
It's not a 3.
Because all precons are 2s.
Apparently.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yes, there are some that have 2-card infinite combos, but it's also a 2.
Are there?
Yeah, there was one from Thunder Junction, I think it was last.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was an accident, but still, it's there. It's
yeah,
there. And you scum, and you trash.
Okay, well, no. There's precons that have, what's the one, Trouble in Paris.
That's where the card comes from.
And that's a game changer.
Yep.
But it's a 2. That's the exception. That's like Polymorph in my 1 creature deck. Polymorph, I wouldn't consider that a tutor, but I would say this is a Polymorph combo deck. Yeah. And tell people that. You think you're polymorphing in a deck that's got 0 game changers, you're not polymorph comboing on turn 2. You're not doing that. You're just not. And I'll play against that in a 2 bracket. That's fine. My 2s run removal.
Yeah.
Fine.
I got a Containment Priest. I'll be fine.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I had to go through the mental inventory of what card that was.
If a creature comes into play and no mana was spent to cast it, you exile it instead.
Yeah, you know what you don't have, though? Drannith Magistrate.
I have one of those, too. It's in my most powerful deck, according to... It's tied with Atraxa.
Okay, I got one more question, then we're going to go get into decks. Okay. Should there be an allowance for game changers in each bracket?
Yes.
You think?
Yes. 1
game changer max in each bracket up to 3?
Yes.
Or 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, and 4 and above is any number?
I think you should be able to have 1 in 1 and 2. Like,
yeah.
If you like, I own a Cradle, and I thought that it would make my Saproling deck or my Ooze deck like a little better.
I like that line of thought where I opened up this card.
I own one, and I don't maybe have the I'm gonna say like the resources or the excitement to acquire the resources to play a 3 or a 4. But I did open this Fierce Guardianship, and I really want to play it.
I got the exact example from Gemstone Mine John. His sister opened up a Strixhaven Mystical Archive Demonic Tutor.
Boom.
That's a card.
Yep.
But it goes in her frick. It's like a nightmare themed deck.
Sure.
Like it's
like Nightmare like the horse that flies, or Nightmare like
I don't even know.
It's probably some janky garbage that's a 1.
He's like, she doesn't play Magic that much, and the deck isn't, obviously it's not a powerful deck. She just opened it. Yeah. So she plays it. And now her deck's a 3.
As she should.
And
as it should.
And it's probably less powerful than a 2.
Yeah.
But it's not technically a 1. This is a whole different problem that we're not going to talk about. It's technically less powerful than a precon, but it doesn't have a theme. So, like, where do those decks exist?
Yeah.
But they exist in 1 or 2. It doesn't matter. So, anyways, on to our deck.
Yes.
This is, I actually had a good time doing this morning. It was very enlightening.
I had so many decks, and it took me a long time.
It took me a long time.
I did it on Architect, like early in the morning. I started it knowing it was going to take a while. And as I was about maybe halfway through, the indicators came up for game changers, started popping up in my list. And I was like, before I had to go through and like cross-check the list, and I was counting and shit on my fingers. And then I clicked on one. I was like, what does this little fucking star here mean? Oh my God. Oh, so I like updated it while I was counting, which made the rest of it very easy. But oh my God. So
I'll say this. I have one deck that I couldn't count game changers on my fingers. It's got 11.
Wow.
I think it's actually 12 because I think that there's a Ancient Tomb in it.
What the hell deck is that?
Bruvak CEDH like mill combo. I'm trying to cast a 6-drop on turn 2 to kill you.
The CDH.
Yeah, of course.
And we're going to talk about the difference between 4 and 5 after this.
Let's do bracket 1 though.
Okay,
what do you got in bracket 1?
According to
this is gonna be fun.
According to the bracket system, I have 1.
I got 1-1,
and it's Bello, Bard of Brambles.
You're a piece of shit.
And anybody who's ever and here's why. Here's why it's a 1. Because it doesn't play any game changers. It has no land denial. It has no extra turns.
Is this your jank one? Like your trash anti one?
They're both trash according to the bracket system. And it's got a theme of all the bulk, shitty artifacts and enchantments I'm not going to play anywhere else that cost 4 or more.
Oh, you are a piece of trash.
But it also turns out that all of those bulk shit enchantments are 4/4s that are indestructible and haste, and they also draw me a card when they hit you. And anybody who's played against that Bello deck knows for goddamn certain it is not a 1.
So, letter of the law versus intent.
Correct.
And you, as a seasoned Magic player who knows the culture of Commander,
it's a 3.
It's a 3. And it's perfect as a 3.
Yep, it's a perfect 3.
Because you're specifically not playing stuff to push it over the top in terms of power.
Yeah.
But it ain't a 1.
It ain't no 1. I'm going to tell you that right now.
That's fine.
Yeah. So according to them, I have 1/1, and it's obviously not a 1. And I do have a 3 that should be a 1 because it's mono face-down creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Just all the different kinds of face-down creatures, but it's a 3 because it had a Fierce Guardianship in it because I had one in my binder. So I think when I get home, I'm going to cut it, and then Vanifar, my new deck, it'll be a 1.
Now, this is a whole nother trajectory. I said on the pre-show yesterday, we could talk a week about this.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole nother trajectory. Does that one game changer make you want to take it out so you can say this is very strictly to the letter of the law? I'm changing one card. That's not even going to matter. Letter of the law, a 2 or a 1 or a 3. And the other thing, too, is if it's not going to matter, why do I got to cut it? I want to play the card. I have it.
Yeah.
Right? Well, then it's a 3 because you can't move down from a 3 to a 1. That's a two bracket jump. A 2 bracket jump. You can't move 2 brackets down, and you're making card choices based on wanting to play this specific card because of what it does.
Yeah.
Your deck's not a 1 anymore.
No.
Your deck isn't a 2 anymore. That's a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. My 1/1 is Grima Wormtongue CCO Raw Dog deck.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess my Raw Dog deck technically is also a 1, but
yeah.
I have an actual version of it that I really enjoy. So
yeah.
Here we are.
My 2s.
Your 2s. How many do you have?
I got 2s. Now, these are the ones that I deem are on the same power level as a modern day precon that don't have any game changers, land denial, fast mana, sparse tutors, whatever that means. And what's the other thing?
You can take an extra turn, but you're not training them.
Oh, yeah. No chaining extra turns. Yeah. Okay, so I've got Brea vehicles.
Okay.
And my old vehicle deck, Dinosaurs Driving Vehicles, that would have been a 1.
Yeah.
I will say that deck never won a game ever. Right? Brea Vehicles has at least 1 game.
There we go.
Okay. Mind Skinner, because it takes multiple turn over turn to mill you. And it's not going to happen very easily in the Commander's Fragile.
Mm-hmm.
Calamax, the community Calamax build.
Right.
No infinites in Calamax, and I make very distinctly sure to make sure I say that. No frickin' infinites in Calamax, because he's famous for going infinite, right?
Yep.
Then I got Gwaihir Birds with a sub-theme of The Ring Tempts You. That could almost be a 1. And then I've got Cascade Super Friends. Averna Teamer Cascade Super Friends. It's slow,
out.
But it does have a great Cascade land engine in it, like precons usually do, with a big kind of finish at the end with a board full of permanents. Like I equate that one to kind of like the Urza and Misher precons from a couple years ago.
Cool.
Yeah. What are your twos?
My twos, I have apparently 6 of them. I've got Ratadrabic, Oops All Legendaries.
Yep.
I've got Tana the Butt Sewer and Jeska. Ooh, it's got all the swords. Oh, that deck ain't no 2 either. But according to this, it is.
Yeah, because no game changers, right?
Correct. I got Torbran, Quit Hitting Yourself. That's everything does 1, the deck.
Yeah.
And I think that's a solid 2. I think that one's a good
That's
2.
probably a 2.
Yes, it runs a Blood Moon, but like...
Okay, that's a great example. I'm saying this runs a Blood Moon in a mono red deck. If you want it to be a true 2 instead of a rule 0-2, we could use that language, right?
I could probably cut the Blood Moon if I wanted to.
Think of your Torbran as kind of like a Gyerson Starn Warhammer 40k deck, right? Kind of does the same thing.
Here's one that nobody's going to agree with is a 2. Once I tell you what it does. I have Wolfgar, double attack triggers, featuring all of the Eldrazi Titans. So I can double Annihilator triggers.
How is that not chaining extra turns?
It's not chaining extra turns.
Sorry.
You don't have to sack your land to Annihilator.
How is that not chaining extra turns in that extra combats is how you normally win with extra turns? And also sacking artifacts that produce mana and eventually lands because multiple Annihilator 4 triggers will make me sack my lands. How is it a 2? Intent versus law.
Exactly. And
So,
that's what these are. These are by the laws of the thing.
Again, people, you have to communicate that through the bracket system, language, and rule set combined with Rule 0 and your knowledge of the culture of Commander. It's very important that you do both of those things.
Yes.
Okay.
Other number 2, Obeka 2. That's the extra upkeep Obeka. Even though that one kind of is taking extra turns.
Yeah, fuck that. That's a 3.
That's
Guaranteed.
a hard. And again, that one's also a 3. Ranked as a 2 because of how the thing works. We already talked about
extra
Bella.
upkeeps, and like 7 extra upkeeps. That's not extra turns, but you're doing a thing that a turn would care about having
mine
more.
as well, because I want to have 7 more turns so I can have 7 more upkeeps.
Exactly.
So I'll just take them all on 1 turn. And the other 2 were Bellow and Vanifar, which were kind of there. So but we already talked about that.
Yep. Okay.
3s.
I got 3s. I've got Shrufus by the letter of the law is a 3, and it has a 1 ring.
Take it out.
It becomes a 2. And from FusionGamingOnline.com, I just got the 2-drop enchantment that gives your creatures +1/+1. And whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you draw a card or something.
You know what I was thinking would be really cool in that deck? Is you play that new Nisa creature that whenever a land comes into play, you get 2 energies, and then you can pay 8 energies to play something for free.
Yes.
And then you play Life and Limb to turn all your saprolings into lands. Then you make 5 saps, and you get 10 energy, and then you can play something like that thing that turns all your dudes into 6/6s. And now your deck is a badass piece of shit.
And probably still a 2 because
that's terrible.
That Nisa comes in a precon.
That's right.
And it takes like 4 cards to make that happen. So Shrufus is a 3. My Advisors is a 3. It's got 1 game changer in it.
Okay.
I think probably it's more powerful than a precon because late game I can go like with my team of creatures that I worked hard in the game to get. I did work. I can go Illusions of Grandeur. I gain 20. All my guys get +20. Take 300 damage.
Yes.
That's a combo. That's a combo. So it's got a late game combo. I've got Estrid the Bald. Same thing. I work my ass off the whole time.
It's an Enchantress deck.
It's an Enchantress deck that plays Sarah's Sanctum, Game Changer, that I say, I'm going to pay 2 life to prevent all damage from this hurricane for 60.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take 2. You guys all take 60. That's a combo.
Yeah.
But it takes like 15 cards in my deck to happen.
Sure.
I've got Alenda. It's got 1 game changer with 3-card endgame combo.
Ooh.
It's got like the one that puts a +1 when a creature dies and gives you a servo. You sack the servo.
Yeah.
And Alenda gets a counter. You get a servo. Yeah. And you make infinite mana to like torment somebody to death.
Yes.
So it's 3 or 4 cards. Endgame costs a bunch of mana.
Sure.
I've got Lord of Tressorhorn. 1 game changer in there.
The Lord.
I don't even remember what it is. I think it's
probably Demonic Tutor.
It isn't. Oh,
Cyclonic
it's Cyclonic Rift. Yeah, it's Rift. It's got Infect to end the game, and it's got like deal 10 or deal 20 to you
Right.
with one attack. I've got Orvar the All Form. It's got one game changer, Cyclonic Rift again, and late game 3-card combo. It can chain extra turns.
Sure.
Which actually is an accidental combo, which Gavin's article covers.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was in there until it happened one time.
Yeah, sometimes you just are putting shit in like, oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah, I guess 5 mana time warp and my wizard that gets something back from my graveyard with the laboratory that bounces a wizard.
Yep.
It's like an 8 mana, take infinite turns.
Yeah. Which is enough.
Yeah. Sauron, upgraded precon, 1 game changer. And then Bryon Stoutarm, 1 game changer. That's where my Smothering Tithe is, because Boros.
Yes.
And all of my fast mana that would be in that deck that has all my 8 drops to fling is all in Bruvac.
Okay, let me hit
who's your 3s?
17 of them. We're going to go real fast.
Here we go.
So we've got the Necro Bloom. That's the closest thing to a CDH deck that I have right now.
And it's a 3.
It's technically a 3. No infinite combos in that one. It's just got the indeterminate dredge and I win combo.
You know what? Indeterminate dredge isn't extra turn, but eliminates agency or eliminates your opponents actively participating, right?
Just stop me or you die.
Stop me or watch me for 10 minutes.
I got Vrondis rolling dice and making dragons. Apatra, that's Mech Snack.
Oh, that's a good deck.
Then we got Nico, that's the Sharp Farting. That's the one that makes the enchantments that turn into clones.
That's redundancy, Brando. You don't have to say shart farting. You can just say sharding.
But I'm farting shards.
Nope.
Meaning shards. Shard tokens, if you will.
Oh,
I've got AV. I got AV. Everything costs 7 storm. Rev, that one I think could be a lot higher. Norin the second, that should be a 1 or a 2 also. It's got some game changers.
Norin the second.
Yeah. Norin the first is also a 3.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
Only less than 3 game changers?
Yep. Only
No
2.
way.
Oh, there's 3. There's 3, sorry. And Teralf is a 3. I think it could probably go higher based on play 1 card and win, given that Teralf whole point is if Teralf is in play, I can play virtually any card in it and just win.
Yes, that's like a single card combo with your commander.
Yeah.
I know that the cards in Teralf are like Earthquake when there's multiple creatures on the table. I would count that as a late game combo because A, there's got to be multiple creatures, and B, you have to have enough mana.
Earthquake them for 6 or 7.
Mana times number of creatures is how much damage they're going to take, and you have to have that much, right? So that's a late game combo. That's fine.
So we got Ognis. We talked about that one. That's the one that should be a 1, but it's got the 1 ring in it. Omnath, Locus of Rage. Toxrill is a level 3. My Brutaclad is a level 3. Baloth, Baratil, that's everything has gold. Glissa, that's Oops All Death Touch. I don't think it should probably be in there, but it plays a mana vault because my mana costs probably 9 by the end of the game. I got Hirobi. I think that's a solid 3. And Obeka 1. Now, this one was a little bit tricky because I wasn't sure how to count the extra turns. Because Obeka has 7 extra turn spells in it.
That probably counts. That probably counts, bro.
I don't know if that makes it a 4 because the rest of the cards is like either cards with Myriad because I don't have Universes Beyond cards to replace them with yet. And Universes Beyond cards, mostly from Doctor Who, that cost like 8 or 9. It's been on Sidewalk Slam. I've played it locally here lots. I don't know if that's a 4 because it has extra turns in it. It doesn't repeat them. It just basically gives all my dudes haste.
You know what?
So it's a tricky one.
If you could go like Time Warp, I'm going to do my turn and attack and bullshit, and then untap and top deck an extra turn spell.
Yeah.
Alron's Epiphany, take an extra turn, do my thing and attack and stuff, and then untap. Regrowth, get Time Warp back, or whatever. Cast from graveyard, top deck another one, Snapcaster Mage, like have another one in your hand. I think that puts it into 4. If you got 7 extra turn or cards,
I can't do any of that shit that Ryan just said except for draw them off the top. But sure.
As if you're not playing card draw, as if you didn't want to draw them off the top. If the opportunity existed or presented itself, you would do it.
Yes.
So I think that puts it into the 4 on intent.
Sure.
Is that all your 3s?
Those are all my 3s. We said them really fast.
How many 4s you got?
I have 4 4s, no 5.
4 4s, no 5s.
No
okay.
5s.
I've got 3 4s, and one of them surprised me. I have got Balthor the Defiled. It's got early game combos.
Yep.
In Phyrexian Altar and Gravecrawler as early as probably turn 2.
Sure.
No, probably turn 3.
Because have something else.
I need to have another zombie, as if there's no other 1-drop zombies in the deck. Yeah. And it's also got mill your whole everything with Basalt Monolith and
Mesmeric Orb.
Mesmeric Orb.
What happened last time you tried that?
Shut up.
Rebecca!
Yep.
There we go.
And the other thing, because it's only got 2 game changers in it, the other thing that it's got is many, many tutors. Only 2 of those tutors are game changers, Demonic and Vampiric. But there's also a Grim and a Cruel and multiple zombies that tutor, like Sidisi and stuff. And there's things that tutor directly to my graveyard. There's like 3 of those. Dang. And they're also zombies, right? So it can do the thing that it does very consistently. So I can't, in good faith, play it at a 2 as like a Typal or Kindred deck.
Yeah.
I can't at 3 say, oh, I'm going to cast a tutor, next turn tutor, next turn tutor, next turn combo. Can't do that at power level 3.
Yeah.
Right? My other one is Marvel, multiple tutors again, including Peer into the Abyss.
That's the chain extra turns when we talked about earlier.
Chain extra turns. And then my 68 land deck.
Huh.
Yeah. It can ad nauseum tutor
your whole deck
in one circumstance on turn 2. When I go first and I play the green card that says whenever my opponent plays a land, I can play a land. Burgeoning. And then player 2 and 3 and 4 and then me play a land. And I have an ad nauseum in my starter. I can ad nauseum at the end of player 4's turn. That is good. But the reason it's in 4 is because it's got 4 game changers.
Yep.
It's got ad nauseum. It's got Cyclonic Rift. It's got Glacial Chasm. And then it's got
Ancient Tomb?
Something else. I don't remember.
Oh, the Ancient Tomb, right?
No, I don't remember.
Mox Diamond?
No, I don't remember what it is.
Oh. Well,
I don't know. It's got a very, very expensive mana base, and I love how this bracket system says nothing about that.
Oh, yeah.
How many times have you ever been hit with like a turn 1, you play down a turn 1 dual land, and the guy's like, oh, joking or not? I don't know, you're playing CEDH, bro.
Right?
I'm like, dude, I don't know. I've been playing Magic for 20 years. I just have this. It's fine.
I was actually going to say, like, one of the things that's listed on those brackets between, I would say, 2 and 3 is how many of your lands come into play on tap. And I know that sounds kind of stupid, but like if you look at a pre-con mana base, they suck. And they suck not because they can't make your colors, because 50% of your lands come into play fucking tap unless you do something else. You have this many opponents. You have this many basics. You show them this many cards in your hand, etc., right? You can't just play your shit. You have to meet all these other fucking requirements. And if you have a mana base that doesn't need that, I would suggest that could push your deck a little bit further.
You could get online, as it were, maybe a turn sooner, right?
Especially when you're playing a 3, 4, 5 color deck where like you're playing. You know...
Now, what is a turn sooner in terms of what bracket my deck falls into?
Exactly.
That's the question, right?
And that's the difference between playing like, can your deck reliably play a colored 1-drop? If the answer is no, your deck is a 2 because it's a pre-con and all your lands suck.
Yeah, and when we say, I don't know, 1 game changer can move my deck down if I rule 0 it, or it can move it up in the sense that I've got 4 game changers now, right? Yeah. What is a mana base with perfect mana, duals, shocks, fetches, in terms of speeding my deck up, maybe a turn? Yeah. Does that move my deck up a category, or can I still say, oh, it's a 2, but I play shocks and fetches and duels?
I don't think that it should actually. I don't think it should actually be a thing, but it should be a consideration because it does matter. In early games, I think it does matter how good how often do you get color fucked, right? I think that is something that should be taken into consideration.
I think it shouldn't, unless you're playing a very powerful deck that fits into 3.
That would be a difference between a 4 and a 5, maybe.
That you could say, I'll play my 3 in this CEDH pod just once. It's the only deck I brought, right? There's the difference.
Yeah.
I have meta considerations. That 1 mana that comes into play untapped makes the difference.
Yep.
My shock land versus my dual land when I'm ad nauseum makes the difference.
Yep.
The tropical island into mana dork on turn 1
big deal
makes the difference. And that's when you're moving from 4 to 5s. But what's your
Yes.
4s?
Okay, my 4s.
You got 4 4s?
I got 4 4s, and this is some of these are weird, and the first 2 I don't agree with. It's only because game changers.
Hold on. Sorry, Editor Joe. I know we're a touch long. But we're almost done.
We're just about done here. Coma.
Oh, yeah?
Coma Cosmos Serpent is a Voltron deck, but it plays Fierce Guardianship, it plays Mana Vault, it plays Force of Will, and one other one, Ancient Tomb, because my commander costs 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. And I have to play her again because my deck cannot win without her.
Yeah.
And I want to protect her. Next one, O3 Sun's Glory.
Is it 4?
Is a 4
because probably game changers, right?
Because it plays Smothering Tithe, it plays Trouble in Pairs, it plays Drannith Magistrate, it plays Mana Vault.
Yep.
So now it's a 4 apparently.
Yep. And here's the thing about having more than 4 4s or 4 game changers is what if you play like on turn 3 a game changer, turn 4 game changer, turn 5 game changer. You're probably gonna win that game.
As the game
probably gonna win if you play a bunch of those game changers. I think that's a solid way to like judge. Do I want these? Am I going to win if I cast multiples of them in a game? The answer is probably yes.
Probably, yeah. This one, I think, probably is exactly where it belongs at Sliver Queen. That deck is basically only 3-card combos that involve Sliver Queen.
And that's how people will treat it.
Yes, it's got 5 game changers in it, all tutors and Smothering Tithe.
Yeah.
And the last one, and this is the one that I don't agree with because you have to look at the list and not have an emotional response to what it is Atraxa. And it has 6 game changers in it, including both of those predators we talked about on the pre-show.
Yeah.
And then the tutors to find them and Smothering Tithe to help play them.
Yeah.
This is a deck that the threat curve, the actual curve starts at 3.
Yeah.
There's nothing that impacts the game before 3. I'm not playing a threatening creature until 6 or 7 mana. Even then they don't go together, they're just all predators, right?
I got your back though. Here's the thing. That sounds exactly like a commander deck. That sounds like a high power commander deck. Who's your commander? Atraxa. What are you doing? Casting all the predators. How are you doing it? Fast mana.
Yep.
And or other game changers that provide me mana above curve.
Yes.
That's a commander deck, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
That's what it is.
So
is it a 4? Like would it be as close to CDH as you can get? Absolutely
No. And that's not the point of 4. The 4 isn't the ceiling before CEDH.
Yeah.
The 4 that's not like one level off of penthouse or ceiling or rooftop. It's powerful commander. And that exists in this huge, just mecha space that is commander.
Yeah.
And that's commander. Like, why? That's commander.
Yeah.
To me. Like, I have no other way to say it. But 5, if you have to ask the difference, you're in the 4 category.
Yes.
That's how all chiller, no filler Miller told me. Like the difference, if you have to ask what's the difference between 4 and 5,
you're playing a 4.
You're playing a 4. Yeah. I know that my Animar deck isn't a 4.
Correct.
Because I have cards in there that are specifically to stop other cards that I know are great against my deck that are outside of Animar's color, like protections, that are 1-drop counterspells that get tutors and demonic consultation. I've got things in there that allow me to respond to things that are going to try and stop my combos.
Yep.
That's the difference.
Yes.
I know that I need to beat these things that are in the meta of competitive.
And that's what makes a CDH deck, in my opinion, with this bracket system, which is what I really like, is it's totally about intention. And if you build a deck with the intention of beating the CEDH meta, which we don't talk about a lot here, but Gemstone John certainly does. Are we going to hear that furnace?
I don't know. LB, can you turn the furnace off? Just hit the switch. I appreciate that.
Thank you, my guy. So, when you go into
hit the light switch, it shuts the furnace off.
Behind the fridge. When you go into with the intention of fighting a meta, then you're playing in the CEDH meta. If you're just building a deck to be as strong as it possibly can, it's probably a 4. If you're seeing Hydro Blast, Red Elemental Blast, you're probably
an offer you can't refuse, right? Mental misstep.
Those are, I'm not going to say those are ultimately CDH cards, but those are cards that you're going to run into more often because you're trying to stop a specific thing from happening to you.
Yeah.
And I would argue that that's the difference between a 4 and a 5 in this particular situation.
I would agree with all of that.
That's why my Muxus, I would consider CDH. My Necro Bloom, my Sliver Queen, I would consider not.
Yeah.
Because those decks are just raw power, try and win. Whereas Muxus was there, okay, they're going to try and counterspell me. They're going to try and fuck with my mana. They're going to do all this stuff. I have to protect that.
And my Animar and Bruvac are exactly the same. It's counterspells to protect on curve or counterspell up when I'm trying to cast or spend 6 mana on a turn. I need free counterspells because it's the only way I can cast a thing. And we go back to Force of Negation that we were talking about yesterday on the pre-show. Force of Negation, not even that good in my Bruvac deck because I can't cast it for free on my own turn. That's a consideration that I have to make. Do I play that card or not? I do. I do because it's good. It stops my opponent. But that's the kind of thing that you think about, or that's the kind of thing that is a meta consideration like Gavin's article talks about.
Yes.
So, man. I wish we had another hour. I wish we had another whole week that we could talk about this.
It's almost
Maybe
like we could do it next week. We could finish it off. We could talk about the actual list. We talked about it a little bit on the pre-show.
Yeah.
Maybe we can actually delve into some of the card choices, what we would add, what we would take off. We can take some of the nation's suggestions if you leave them down in the comments.
I got another one too. We can talk about how the Game Changers list acts as a buffer to get banned or to get unbanned. We could talk about how the Game Changers list affects card prices. That's some MTG finance shit. You know how many cards spiked when Gavin said we're looking at taking cards off the ban list and putting them on the Game Changer list? You know how many cards spiked? Yeah. Check your freaking banned cards in your binder and see if your dockside is like still deflated in value.
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
So,
all 9 of them.
All 9 of them. Great. And my One Rings, all 9 of them.
I only have one of those.
I got your back, dude. Well, do the sign off. Thank the business daddies. We got to get out of here.
All right. Guys, please, we do want to talk about your choices for the, what's the list called?
Game
Changer
Changers.
list. So leave them in the comments below. Send them to us at commandercookout@gmail.com. Put them in the Discord. It's one of the great benefits to being a Patreon over at patreon.com/CCO Podcast. Every little bit helps, and we really, really do appreciate you guys helping the show grow and stay afloat and do all that stuff. Keep us in these sweet digs with cool TVs behind us
and
stuff.
Loud furnaces.
And the extra loud furnaces that keep us warm when it's -40 outside like it has been all motherfucking week. Thank you very much to FusionGamingOnline.com, and you can use special promo code CCO Holiday to get 5% off all your game-changing stuff and deck boxes and playmats and for whatever you want.
Pick up them Cyclonic Rifts.
And finally, thank you very much to Pile of Bones Brewing Co. They are the second coolest thing to come out of Regina, and they keep us full of beer and delightful tastes, which we all really appreciate. There's Ryan posing next to a can. Don't hold it against that can. I guess we should also thank producer Dragon for filling in for producer Gary and the rest of the family here at the Dufferin Avenue Media Network for giving us a place to call home and produce this show. And thanks again, you, for being here. We're going to be back to talk more brackets on the next exciting episode of Commander Cookout Podcast. Hit our theme song!